quick review of what Mendel knew, which was a lot for where he was at when he was. Mendel knew what you know now, almost better than him. You got more to work with already than he did. That there's two versions of every gene that you've got, that everyone has. Everyone has two versions, two alleles for every gene. They can be dominant, dominant, recessive, 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 dominant, and other weird things we haven't even seen yet, but there's always two. There could be more to choose from than two, but you always have two. When you produce the cells for reproduction, sperm and egg cells, that's when you take your two for every gene and split them apart, and one or the other goes into the sperm or egg. And that process of you taking your two alleles for every trait and splitting them is called meiosis. And Mendel knew nothing about that, even though he sort of predicted it. Morgan, the fruit fly guy, who was pulling the heads off fruit flies most of his career, who figured out that it's DNA, it's chromosomes that have the genes on it, and that you have two alleles for every gene because you got two chromosomes for every chromosome. In other words, 46 chromosomes, yeah, but really more like 23 pairs. And so any chromosome you pick out in the human genome, any chromosome in a human cell you pick out, there's another one. And one of those two chromosomes came from your mom, and the other one came from your dad. They have the same genes, just the mom versions and the dad versions that you got. So the process we're about to talk about, called meiosis, is the process where parents basically scramble and shuffle up their DNA and then deal it out in halfsies to these little half cells called sperm and eggs. Everybody with me so far? Okay, we said haploid, that's the word we haven't defined yet, so let's do that. Oh, but wait, here's a picture of chromosomes. This is cool, this is another thing that Morgan figured out. Well, actually one of his graduate students figured it out. He was having the hardest time with fruit flies because I told you, if you yank a fruit fly's head off and you smush its salivary gland, you get these big, huge chromosomes. But like he wanted to sort them. He wanted to show them, and like, if we could just get them in decreasing order of size. And he's having the hardest time. He's using a needle with these tiny little chromosomes, like, get over there, little chromosome. And then one of his students is like, hey, genius, why don't you take a picture through the microscope of the chromosomes and then cut the little pictures of the chromosomes out, and you can just sort the pictures. And that's still what we do. It's, you know, more high tech in terms of like it's a Photoshop type program that does the magic lasso and cuts the chromosomes out for you, but that's all it is. This right here is a former student of mine. That's his chromosomes. And yeah, well, yours do too. And actually, I said his, but I probably didn't have to tell you that. You probably could have figured it out. How? How would you know this is a male? Notice they're in pairs. There's 23 pairs. Something about that 23rd pair, though.
You got one.
No, there's two. Yeah, the second one looks weird, doesn't it? It's too short. What does that mean? You know what makes a boy genetically? What makes a boy a boy? It's XY, right? There's this last pair of chromosomes. And if you're a boy, yours are different, like this. And if you're a girl, they're the same. They're XX. This is an X. This is a Y chromosome. Oops. Look at that. I touched it.
I think it hits.
Don't touch it.
Oh, really smart. I like that.
Genius. So yeah, here's a drawn version. Here's female. Notice the XX at the end. And here's male, and these are replicated. And of course, his they took a picture when they weren't. But yeah, that is called a karyotype. Okay, now we define haploid and diploid.
Diploid. Like an insult.
Yeah, they're kind of cool words. I wish they meant something
Cool.
I don't know.
Be that shade.
Yeah, you're so haploid. Jeez. Diploid just means having the full set, having all, in our case, 46 chromosomes. That's the normal state for us and for almost all animals, to have our normal body cells be diploid, to have the full kind of doubled pairs of chromosomes there. There are other organisms that exist normally in the haploid state. There are fungi that are like that, and some forms of plants, but diploid's kind of the norm for most of the critters we think about. Then haploid, we only find in the sex cells. You only find haploid cells in the sex organs of the critters that have them. So the process we are about to explore is the process of using a diploid cell to get special haploid cells that you can reproduce with. That's what meiosis is. So sometimes when we don't want to talk about the number of chromosomes, because number isn't always that important. Like you've got 46, a potato has 72, a fruit fly has either 8 or 16, I can't remember. Sometimes we just want to talk about it in general terms, not specifying an organism. We say that N is the haploid number, and if N is the haploid number, then 2N is diploid. So sometimes you'll hear geneticists talk or read in a book about the N number of chromosomes versus the 2N number of chromosomes. What they mean is haploid and diploid. It's like a variable, right, that you don't have to specify because you're not talking about a specific organism. And haploid cells, sperm and egg cells in our case, are produced by this special kind of cell division. Okay, so what this looks like, this conversion of a diploid cell into, believe it or not, 4 haploid cells. We take one cell that has all the chromosomes it should, and we take it through a series of little divisions to make 4 cells that have half what they should. Meiosis starts the same way as mitosis does. In fact, it's almost the same slide here, except we're going to keep track. Yes, you should draw this. And we're actually going to keep track of alleles this time. This is a fruit fly. Keeping this as realistic as possible, I didn't want to draw or make you draw 46 chromosomes. Turns out a fruit fly only has 8. And those 8 chromosomes are actually 4 pairs of chromosomes. So you'll notice what we're labeling tells you, and the colors tell you which of the chromosomes are homologous to the other chromosomes. Right? These 2 shades of blue, clearly same size and shape, both have a wing shape allele on them. In fact, 2, but that's because if you're wondering why there's 2 arrows pointing to the little W allele and 2 arrows pointing to the big W allele, anybody know? Because that looks like 4 alleles to me.
Yep.
It's supposed to have 2 alleles, right? Why does it have 4? Well, 1 pair, but why is each one of these doubled? It is heterozygous. There's 2 because before any cell divides, what does it have to do? Copy all of its DNA, and meiosis is just like mitosis that way. There's double set because it's copied. It's copied in preparation for division. So really, this is a big W, little w fruit fly. It just has 2 of each because it just copied all its DNA. It's also a big R, little r. fruit fly. And this tells you that the fruit fly has what color eyes? Red eyes, and what kind of wings? Normal wings, not curly. Curly winged fruit flies can't fly, by the way. What do you call a fly that can't fly? Correct. Good. So all these chromosomes are about to go through some tricks. I'm going to do some tricks for you. And I want you to draw this. And I made you, did I make you draw mitosis all the way through? Yeah. I don't think I want to do that with meiosis. I think I'm going to make you a handout. I'm still going to have you take notes on it. But this is as far as we're going to go today, because I want to give you like a full color handout of the process for you to take notes on, just because I think that'll make it better. I think you'll learn it better that way. It'll look something like it'll have, 6 slides per page, and so you'll have the pictures, and you'll write the stuff that's going on underneath each picture. So that is what we'll do tomorrow. I'll copy that for you. I'm going to give you guided reading for the second part of chapter 11 now. We're kind of splitting chapter 11 in two.